off the roster, and it's not Jiejie either who's coming in.
Yeah, it's Jiejie who's going to be coming back into the roster here, and I think it's going to be interesting to see. He's been out for a while, but certainly a very aggressive jungler and likes to get involved in those lanes, so we'll have to see how that one's going to work out as we get the pick and ban on our screen. So EDG, again, going for a very heavy dive composition. The Camille Galio combo with the Viego coming into the jungle as well. Going to set up super nicely for a lot of these plays. And when you look over at WE's side, something that kind of leaves themselves a little bit vulnerable to that. Certainly when you look towards something like LeBlanc, really struggles against the Galio, also really struggles against the Camille. And as well, things like the Ezreal that can get locked down by this Camille and set up for the Galio means that he doesn't have as much safety with the arcane shift. So certainly EDG have, I think, the compositional tools to go against WE, but we'll have to see, because if WE get ahead off this Olaf pick, set themselves up for a really strong mid game alongside that mid lane with this LeBlanc, it feels like you're in a really good spot here as WE to take the 2-0 against EDG.
The Sentinel's light shall bask in the darkness of the encroaching mist as we jump onto the rift for the second time. WE taking a 1-0 lead in this series, but EDG making a change in the jungle. It's bringing in Jiejie. And again, more and more pressure being put onto EDG. And this is where we can talk about the composition a little bit more, but I'm talking more about the pressure you get. When you're making roster swaps this late into the season, this is where things can look a little rocky.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not entirely sure what the story is with it all. Like, I'm not going to pretend that I do. I mean, especially since Jiejie still hasn't come back in. No idea what's going on with Jiejie. Might be something going on behind the scenes, or he might have some other issue going on. But look, we're with Jiejie, and I think, at least coming into 2020, there was a lot of conversation about, like, which do we prefer, Jiejie or Jiejie? It kind of depended on what side of the fence you were on. I liked Jiejie because I thought he offered a lot of these, like, quick ganks, very aggressive towards the lanes. I was really smart in how he set up those ganks. But Jiejie was definitely more of the objective-focused jungler, and that has been something that has obviously been the EDG style for quite a while. So I'm curious to see now that we're getting Jiejie back into the roster. What does he bring? Has he brought in a bit more of that objective control since he's been watching this EDG style for a while? Or have they got something else in their back pocket?
Wait and see. And looking at the two compositions and looking at them right now, we obviously talked about the big dive team fight that is EDG. For WE, though, it is more about that a little bit of poke damage and just assassinating someone as quick as possible before you take a full engage.
It's definitely... Oh, hang on.
Now we're good. Going to be very difficult for Meiko to get on top of the Alistar, especially level 1.
Hey, we saw it in game number 1 of today. I'm just keeping my bases covered. But look, I think you are correct. Like, for WE, definitely want to try and, like, take a quick assassination with Shanks, have access towards the back line, particularly on towards Viper. Shanks will be trying to have access there. The team fighting is going to pretty much revolve around, hey, we're going to try and go for some sort of 1-4 where we want our bottom half of the, well, bottom 3/4 of the map to be like fighting towards dragons, trying to create this pressure, making sure that we are hitting that mid-game spike, and then allowing Breathe to be our late-game insurance. The only issue for Breathe is that in this Camille matchup, Camille actually has a better late-game scaling. There comes a point in time where you can just burst out Breathe as Flandre. So now you kind of need to lean more as WE into this kind of 25 to 30-minute window where your composition should be able to burst out people like Viper, but you haven't got Jiejie and Flandre fully online yet.
And we see Jiejie and Beishang both on opposite sides of the map. They've both done their full clears. They're going to be able to take the scuttles and get themselves out. But important to note there that Jiejie has been spotted. He will get the sweeper down as well to make sure that he knows. So the information has been garnered there. He's going to pop out the Scryer's Bloom, maybe drop a ward on his way out. He'll be fine.
So I think for EDG, you got two options about how you want to play this early game, right? You can either try and use the fact that Viper has full control bot lane alongside Meiko to look towards early dragons, see if you can try and take them away from WE, or you just kind of play it safe, wait till 6, and then go for the almost guaranteed terror dive on Breed top lane with Scout and Flandre being able to set up those double ultimates. So I'm curious to see what style we get. And as we said, like, Jiejie, at least historically, hasn't been the most objective-focused jungler. So I imagine instead they are going to wait for this level 6 and try and go for this big dive on the Terror and Breed topside.
I'll wait to see exactly how it all pans out right now. Of course, the Ezreal Varus matchup, pretty passive if we're being totally honest, especially when you've got something like a Leona and Alistar, unless you have jungle intervention, and even has the minion dematerializer rune for missing, so he knows they're not going to be able to get as big of a push. And right now, WA are just happy enough accepting the lanes as they are. They have an advantage in top, they have an advantage in mid, and they're happy just to soak up the XP and gold in all the other lanes.
I mean, as Beishang, you're kind of like, okay, how do I try and like push forward here? Because I'm not getting access to bot lane. There's no point in me being there as an Olaf. We never kill Viper and Meiko unless they massively overextend to make a mistake. So instead, Beishang can actually try to use the fact that he's got the push in mid from Shanks. Also, with Breathe having this first reset, he'll now start to take over this matchup, and you can look to go and invade on this top side of the map if you would like to. Although Olaf likes taking dragons early, I just don't see it with the way that this bot lane priority is working for EDG right now.
Now, the Olaf is being pinged out on the top side, so they have a fairly decent idea that's exactly where he is. And now, Junya maybe looking for something in this bot side. Flash forward, the Xenobate follows. Does have the cleanse. They will get Elk out, but what about missing? Can he defend himself? The minions died, so yes, he can.
I mean, it's a fun ride for Meiko. Yeah. It just kind of sucks that it never amounted to anything. So EDG, you get the flash burnt by Meiko and also Elk, but I mean, this was kind of the expected route, I'll say. It's really, really difficult to actually dive against an Alistar because he's so good at being able to, you know, knock you up under the turret, get the damage dealers out away from that terror dive, and as well against an Ezreal who's just a pain to try and lock down. So surprised EDG tried to commit for it, honestly, but at least it does force Elk off the tower, and he will lose a good amount of CS and experience to that turret.
We'll lose a little bit, and of course you'd see pretty standard setup for Viper on this Varus is the Korean sniper knows exactly how to use this champion, has come up with some fantastic plays this split. We now see the full engage here onto Beishang, who is forced to flash away as the hero's entrance just come in. And now they maybe look to try and re-engage this one. It's a bit dodgy now for WE. They don't really know exactly where they want to go with this.
Very spread out, and it's actually going to be Meiko with the engage.
Yeah, Meiko, as you see Beishang ticking down. He's got the Ignite on top of him. The TP going to be committed, and that's First Blood over to EDG. But a good three-man knock-up here, and Junja has to flash himself away. But a Mystic Shot to the face takes him down. Now the Needlework can do its work. Breathe has joined the fight. It's 4v3, and EDG are in full retreat. It's going to be WE taking so much more off of this. Flandre flashes away, thinking he could maybe go back in for a cheeky kill onto missing. But in the end, it's 2 for 1. Still advantage WE.
Flandre was super late on that TP. Breathe had already walked the whole way down despite the fact he had no teleport, and it meant that you got this big burst damage coming off from this Gwen before EDG were in position to respond. And now WE looked a little bit dicey, looked a little bit careful as they approached, but they do find themselves with the fight win, the gold lead, and a lot of that going on to crucial members like Elk and like Breathe.
I'd love to see the kind of the replay once we're able to get it up, but like EDG really hard forced that one now, and they're going to be in a little bit of a hole as they come up towards this dragon kind of skirmish, but they just wanted to kill off Beishang and they committed everything.
Yeah, so much invested before you even get to this point, right? Scout had already used the ult. Scout missing that Justice Punch as well means that like you don't get that quick burst. Great knock-up as you called from missing, but watch, Breathe already going to be here, already dealing so much damage. And then by the time Flandre shows up, he kind of gets 1 to 2 autos off, a bit of CC, but is already running for the hills because everyone else in EDG is taking so much damage.
Yeah, well, Rift Herald is going to be taken here by EDG as they had priority up in that top side. It will be on vision, so the side of W will know that it was going down and making plans to how they want to respond. But with Beishang in that top side, they don't really have an answer. They can't rush down the Drake. It's not really in a position to push in any of the lanes. So good moves here from EDG and looking far more coordinated in this game than they were in game 1.
Exactly. At least it is looking slightly cleaner, but still WE coming out with those leads. I want to see now how do WE try and, you know, grow these though. Because you're starting to look, okay, Breathe, he'll have his TP back up in a little bit of time. No dragons have been taken just yet, and Shanks does have some control in mid, so maybe with the way that these lanes are set up, we get Beishang turning towards that dragon, or pick on Meiko.
They could go for Meiko, no flash on the Leona, but still pretty damn tanky. He's still level 5, so waiting for that solar flare, and maybe we can see Beishang and Missing just roam around. Maybe there's a little bit of a death squad in the jungle support duo, but they back away, and they just have pressure now in bot and mid, so that equals the dragon.
Well, look, I want to see this duo go into a little cocoon and become a trio. I want to see Shanks coming down to this bottom side of the map as well, because Viper right now, he's got no heal, he's got no flash. He is incredibly vulnerable underneath his tower. And then you add into the mix that you've got that level 6, the unbreakable will for Alistar. You can set up these dives so insanely easily on the bottom side. It's why you look at the map right now and Junja's like, I gotta sit here. Like, I cannot leave right now because Viper's in so much trouble. I need to let him escort this wave in, which is giving time now to Beishang go, right, I'm just going to start to clear out and actually maybe make my way down towards this bottom side and look for a gank.
Yeah, maybe look for something as they are just clearing out that wave as quick as possible. The Viego has reset, but so is the Olaf. So Beishang not going to find anything just yet, and the heal should be up pretty damn soon, as will the flash for Viper. So that window very slowly closing away from WE, but they're still not unhappy with how things are gone. They've got themselves an 800 gold lead. They have a dragon. They still have yet to see where this Rift Herald is going to be popped, and does look like with Jiejie in this top side, he might look to try and maybe snowball Flandre if he can.
I mean, snowball, yes, but bring back seems to be the better one here, because right now he is, 600 go behind in this matchup. The Gwen is much stronger as of right now because of the way this matchup works, so they need to get some go back into Flandre's favor, or you've got this gaping hole in the top side of the map that WE can continue to look and play around, especially in like the next 5 minutes when we're looking towards the Rift Herald's second spawn and how much pressure Beishang can put up here.
And I actually really love this from Breed as well, going with the steel-plated caps because he knows he's going to be in a much better position to defend against the armor than the magic resistance. As we go straight in onto the fight, the TP comes in, Hexagon Momentum, they're going to commit the Galio ultimate as well. It lands onto 3 people. It's a trade of top laners, but also the jungler. The Justice Punch is blocked as Scouts force the flash over the wall. Again, WE trading up in the fight.
Nice timing there from WE. Shanks was out of mana in the mid lane, but just got the wave reset, managed to get back to base, get a full purchase in, so he's a buy ahead of Scout, and then get to the play at the right time as well. So you're playing through your strength you got in your top laner, plus the advantageous spot that Shanks had just found himself in. So wonderful job here from WE.
Oh, they're going for Scout. He gets a little bit of minion block. They jump in underneath the turret. Can they take him down? It's very tanky from the Galio. He's still missing tanking up that turret, and Shanks, luckily enough for him, wasn't, so he gets himself out, and they're able to trade back another kill.
Unbreakable Will, that's how you play it. Like, these Alistars can tank turrets for days. And now you can see the result. Shanks now still going to hold on to this mid lane. Jiejie will push in, but you can see Missing still just hovering here to make sure Shanks can collect this wave nice and easy. Again, though, WE running away with this early game, and uncharacteristics from EDG starting to creep up again. No dragons. No real objective control here for EDG either. Yes, they got that Rift Herald, but it hasn't really amassed to very much.
No, it will only get the golds of 2 plates onto Jiejie, but it is definitely a much more positive start for WE. I think that we were obviously harking on the negatives for EDG, but we gotta put props for Jiejie. They're being proactive. They're knowing and reading EDG like a book and saying, look, we know exactly where you're gonna try and contest us. We can be there and turn it back in our favor.
And Meiko doesn't realize he's standing on a ward, trying to see if he can get up towards Breathe. Actually, the cavalry is here for Breathe.
It's more than just Meiko.
As he goes, all right, you know what? I don't mind trying to bait for one person before I'm not taking this risk. He just backs off. Again, though, you're trading this on the bot side for WE. And yes, 100%, I want to say credit where credit is due for WE. I also do want to give credit towards Jiejie, even though he's not here, because you can see how much of this EDG team revolves around him in the early stages, right? We talked about him having an insanely high first blood rate. Well, that first blood rate that is first in the league for EDG hasn't happened in this series so far. We're looking towards the incredible objective control, where they're first in dragons. That's not there for EDG this game. And even when you're looking towards things like the Rift Herald, they were second when it came to the amount of Rift Heralds that they've managed to secure for themselves. That's not there either. Like, so much of this early game was coming from Jiejie, and I think that's why a lot of people are like, hey, look, Jiejie's not the flashy member of EDG, but certainly he's a very crucial part of this roster, and you're kind of seeing it here.
Yeah, definitely feeling the pressure, if you will, as Jiejie just kind of puts himself back into the top side, seeing if he can catch out Breathe, as this Gwen is slowly making her way towards that Rift Maker, and it is going to be a very difficult time for Flandre if that item is completed before he can get any kind of pressure in this top side. We now see with the Dragon spawning in 20 seconds, EDG just giving it up really, but WE not setting up for it just yet either. It looks like they want to try and contest both sides.
Yeah, WE usually don't go towards the second Rift Herald. They're much more interested in the first. They want to try and trade that for dragons, and might get that here, but here we go.
Oh, Solar Flare has to be used there, and the flash, so Meiko using all of his utility. There's one big cooldowns this early on in the game, and you'll take that, you trade the dragon, so EDG will get themselves their second Rift Herald, but WE, they're stacking this objective again.
And you can see that Meiko, look, not having the support that he usually does in like wandering around the map with Jiejie, actually having Jiejie on this top side, Meiko just caught out on his own. So he's just kind of wandering around. In several situations, Meiko has been caught out, and it's giving these small advantages to WE, burning summoner spells that could be crucial for upcoming fights. Now, with Dragon down, he will have his summoner spells back up by the time that arrives, but may need it sooner if WE are going to invade on this jungle.
And they are trying to steal away from this red buff. Smite there for Beishang makes that one pretty damn easy. And now with the pressure in the bot side, they can continue to push in. Maybe look to go for a dive should EDG overstep.
And this is what we want to see from WE. They have a really good composition for spiking in this early stages with the one item completed with the Divine Sunder there for Elk. They're just trying to abuse that fact. Shanks consistently pushing in mid, rotating down bot, using the fact he has his own mythic completed when you're still waiting on that completion for Scout. WE are just finding these really nice windows where they have the power advantage and EDG are still trying to get out of the trough.
Yeah, it's about 3,000 gold lead coming in. It's a little bit under it as we crest past the 15-minute mark, and Rift Herald still yet to be put down here for EDG. They may try and keep it for the Dragon, but that's a very long time away, so we'll see where they want to put that priority. And you've got first items here for most people on, on WE. You've got yourself the Luden's Tempest, the Gore Drinker, and of course the Riftmaker. Divine Sunder finished up for Elk. You're sitting pretty. You're pretty happy with where everything is going right now. And for EDG, you're just really waiting for a big mistake to capitalize on for WE to bring back this early game.
And they do have the tools to do that, right? You've got the opportunity to go for these picks with Flandre and Scout that we pointed out. It's just so difficult when you see the way WE are moving around the map, right? Missing is always flanked by Beishang. He's never moving off by himself. Same when you look towards Shanks, who's consistently kind of pushing and then moving before EDG can respond.
Well, Rift Herald going to go into mid lane again, so second charge of Shelly into the mid side. It will get the turret very, very low. I don't know if it will take it out just yet. It will not. It will survive on nothing. And it's, again, small little things like that that just make the difference. Having that turret down versus not having it down is another objective that you now have to worry about.
Ooh, hang on,
Jiejie might be in a little bit of trouble. They do get out the TP here from LeBlanc because they're trying to separate this fight. This is very separated as the Galio goes down. Once you go in, you cannot get back out. Shanks goes over the wall but does not get any more purchase without Meiko. No flash from the earlier play with the scuffle with the Alistar, and 2 more kills go over to WE. If there was a Baron, they'd take it, but it's not even early. It's too early for that.
But they should be able to get 2 towers off of this. You can see that tower in the top lane very low. Beishang going to move up and finish that, as the rest of WE will look to take this mid lane structure. WE are taking over this series against EDG, and such a crucial win for WE as well. Taking down the top team in the LPL is now a very real prospect for this squad.
It really, really is. And WE, the last split, they started brightly, fizzled out a little bit towards the end, and didn't really have much of an impact in playoffs. This time around, it does feel like they are moving from strength to strength, getting themselves into a position of contesting for top 6, top 5, top 4 maybe. And as well for EDG, this puts, if they lose this series, it puts them down to 10-3. They are equal with FBX, and not only that, but then they lose the control of their destiny to try and get that top spot. They lose control of that #1 seed and get brought right back down into the playoff battle.
Yeah, and especially when they face off against FPX on that last day of the split, that could be all to play for. Now,
Flandre getting jumped onto here, has to use the Hextech ultimatum to keep himself alive, but again, more tools being used just before this dragon fight in just over a minute's time. And we'll have a look at the replay here, and this is just Beishang knowing the limits of his champion and knowing when he can and cannot go in.
I mean, it wasn't even limits to champion. It was just like, yeah, we need more people in the area, right? Look at the minimap. Cool, let's go for it. And this is where they get the place. They get the pick on towards Scout at the start. Elk churning out damage at this stage, especially, we talked about that Divine Sunder. So many high health bars on this EDG side. He's getting so much value from that build. And then as well, they just very quickly finish off Meiko, flashless from that last encounter. So now EDG, Dragon up in 30 seconds, Scout's topside, and EDG may not be out of the woods.
Oh no, Jiejie might be in a lot of trouble, has not got his flash, but does have the Heartbreaker. That is not available for this dragon fight in 22 seconds. I feel like WE are just going to get themselves onto Soul Point for free.
And it's the same story as last game. it felt like this is exactly what happened. EDG were getting picked off by WE, not really able to do too much about it, and then these dragons start to stack and become too much of an issue for EDG. And now, I mean, look at the map. You've already fully given this up as EDG. They're fully committed to that top side. I mean, as we get the heat map for... How's your Chinese, Penguin?
Not worse than yours. I'll put it that way. But
yes,
I think
then,
yeah.
It's not gonna. But either way, look, as we get our map back, Terra will be trading topside for EDG. WE get the dragon. They can now trade this for the bottom side tier 1 as well. So you end up just going tit for tat in towers. Dragon goes your way. You've even got full pressure in mid lane. I mean, it's all WE right now. A 3,000 gold lead that only feels like it's a moment in time before it becomes an even bigger one.
And this is fantastic from WE. It's the exact kind of form you want to be hitting just before playoffs. Like we said, we are 2 weeks away, and as soon as regular split is finished, that's a week later, we're in the playoffs. It's, you know, it starts so quickly because we have so many matches.
And it's such a big win as well, because when you look at their upcoming schedule, they had like EDG today, Rogue Warriors, okay, IG, Orangey, top esports still to play. And when they are sitting in that 6th place spot at the moment, really trying to fight their way up, the fact that you've got this win against EDG is going to give you so much more, well, honestly, just a sigh of relief that, hey, there's one less game that we have to worry about, and one that we've managed to get in the back with a 2-0 win as well. Like, with how close the LPL is right now, game difference is going to make it all.
Yeah, really will, and still have a little bit to do. It is not 100% a done deal for WE. They are still hunting to try and make this one out, and EDG, they've got some pretty good players. You know, we got some pretty decent guys. I don't know if you heard of him. Viper's all right. Like, he's an up-and-coming AD carry. He's doing okay.
First rookie in the LPL.
Yeah, rookie and all that stuff. But Scout is okay. But, like, this is the point. Like, this is why I suppose we're putting such scathing criticism onto EDG, because we have such high hopes for this team. We have such high expectations of what they can do, because the players have shown that their ceiling is just so damn high.
Yeah, we're looking at this team at an international level. It's not just an LPL level, but right now, WE kind of showing, hey, look, they can be up there as well. This is really clean from WE. Find these early advantages, learning how to build through them. Shanks as well now off in the side lane working well, but EDG, the shot calling starting to come online, trying to see if they can trade back and forth, but too many members of WE in the vicinity. But EDG do manage to get some control. Like, vision in that jungle is going to be crucial for the dragon that's coming up in just 2.5 minutes time.
2.5 minutes. Shanks just putting this tower down to about 2/3 of its HP, maybe a little bit just above half. And now we look at a quick look at the items. Still waiting for that Morellonomicon to come in for Scout. Still kind of only has the Oblivion Orb and the Everfrost. Not really his business to be dealing the damage, so not the worst thing in the world, but 2 items now onto Breed. Nearly 2 items. You're going to have that Sterix gauge for Beishang very shortly as well. You have 2 items onto your Ezreal. This is where this game slowly feels very difficult to build. And EDG, I like the idea from it. There's no objective. You're not going to lose anything from chasing this hard, but they don't get any purchase from it.
But look at the vision that WE have right now. I actually really like it. It's like, cool, we got wards in bottom side of EDG's jungle. We also have one in the top side of EDG's jungle. One in our own jungle as well. It's like, how many different flank positions can EDG come from? All right, cool, let's just cover them. Let's just have ourselves completely set up for this dragon and make sure that we're going to be fine. So now again, the name of the game is going to be pushing in these side lanes. Shanks already in that top side. You just saw Breed doing the same. Finishing off your last few items and making sure that you're in the right spot to fight. Even stopwatches as well picked up for Elk. He's well aware that basically this is the fight that makes or breaks this game in favor of WE.
Now, that ward is still there for EDG. That could be an incredible flanking tool for the Camille. They need to see WE try and maybe sweep out this vision, make sure there is absolutely no way in hell you're going to be caught out guard by any kind of TP flank. So waiting to see them going to commit to that, but a minute till Dragon, there's still a little bit of time of prep.
Yeah, might see Breathe walk through that jungle actually cleared out. We'll have to check his movements as he comes across, but WE full control here with 50 seconds left. They already have all the items that they picked up. They don't need to back again, so they can just keep full control of this bot side jungle for EDG and make it so hard for them to contest this objective. They're trying to push mid priority right now in the hopes they can, and that's kind of all they got for EDG.
A bit of poke down. Flandre is on top of a pink ward, just taking that one away, and good aggressive vision control here. Elk in a little bit of trouble. Actually, Arcane shifts away from the chains of corruption. That's a big AoE 2, no longer available now for EDG in 20 seconds till this dragon spawns.
I thought that was it. I thought Elk was caught, but
Let's see what... Yeah, all right. It's going to be poking and prodding, and this is where EDG need to try and find a solution. Hextech Ultimatum on top of the LeBlanc as they get the ultimate as well from the Galio as they try and jump in on top of this fight. But look at Breathe. Look at Elk. They are free-firing on this backside. WE are just decimating everybody. Triple kill, quadra kill for Elk, and they can take the dragon and the Baron. Everything is theirs.
it won't be the Penguin Penta TM today, but still Elk manages to get the quadra kill. As they turn over towards the Baron, they can get the dragon if they want, but they're going to pick up both. Beishang is finishing off the soul as the Baron is taken, and with that, we said this was the straw to break the camel's back. This was the fight to blow up in this game, and this is where WE take over in this series.
Let's have a look at this fight, because it does look like Flandre just feels like he's left with no other choice than other to engage. He has to go in with the Hextech Ultimatum, otherwise he's just going to die without having to use anything. And EDG they're just not in a position to fight that one there. And the damage from Viper, you've already lost yourself the oh no, never mind, I'm going to stop myself. There is going to be no replay. The replay is going to be of this, because Flandre is now in a lot of trouble. No ultimate, no flash, but TP going to be used here by the Galio to try and re-engage it. There is Breed going into Zhonya's. That's his stopwatch that he had from the last fight. He goes a little bit too close to the sun and gets taken down. Good response here from EDG, but they had to commit a loss.
WE moving a lot of members down here, may want to try and keep this skirmish up, but EDG, like, they're fully here. This is not the fight for WE. You just got Baron.
You just got Baron. Shanks just popped back with the distortion, but they're trying to go forward with Missing. Missing cannot get in onto the fight, and that's going to be the solo player committed. Missing does not die, though, and now look at the raging Viking just moving forward, pushing in, and you've just got Shanks and Elk poking, prodding, knowing they have the damage. The Elder, the Infernal Drake on their pocket. The Soul just doing so much. And WE, they are 4v5 and they're still destroying EDG.
And they can't even fight forward. WE are just tearing them down. Elk ripping people apart at 6-0 right now. And you just had to give up this entire lane. You're not going to be able to hold on to this tower.
You cannot defend this right now. Viper trying his very best, but what are you going to do about this? There's just a Baroned up double cannons right on the knocking on your door, and Shanks, he's just putting down poke. He's not even looking for the assassination that we talked about. He's just looking to bring the health bars down, and that's the base cracked.
And Elk still playing here, just seeing how much damage he can get off. It's whack-a-mole at this stage. Just take your shot, see if you can hit it. If not, it's not going to make anything. That is very true. But either way, WE, they're looking good. Oof. Yeah, I suppose they're seeing if they can shank someone, I suppose. Is that the way I'm supposed to do it?
There it is. I knew you had something in there. I was like, come on, you can do better than that. You're the brains and the wit of this operation. But now with all the outer towers down, the bot lane cracked open, you still have 40 seconds of Baron buff. And WE don't look like they're stopping. WE don't look like they're ready to give up anything. They're not willing to give any inch of power or pressure back over. As I say that, we will see the Hextech Ultimatum and the Hero's Entrance used. They're going to use the Galio taunt as well. They will take down Shanks and Missings. There's 2 quick kills going in favor of EDG, but
we've seen this before.
We have seen this before. EDG kind of looking for more. They know they're at an advantageous position. There's a lot of standing gold that's in the pockets of WE that hasn't been spent, but with the Baron buff still available, they should be able to get themselves out.
So unfortunate for Shanks, just gets caught out. And again, that was kind of the combo that we were talking about for Flandre and Scout. I thought we were going to get that combo when... Remember that one replay that we thought we were going to get? The way back at that dragon fight. Well, I thought that was we were going to get that combo on towards Elk when he was standing that bit too far forward, but they are just targeting Shanks. They're like, look, as long as we can take the LeBlanc out of this fight, Viper can actually play up, he can play aggressive, and we have a secondary damage source in this game. But with this, we're hitting that 30-minute mark, and we said for WE, they wanted to kind of be sitting... well, pretty at this stage, but their window was kind of that 25 to 30-minute mark. They're still extending that window with how far they are ahead, but we're starting to see these big crucial items come in for the 2 carries at the top of the map for EDG, Flandre and Jiejie. Divine Sunder is completed on both. You're working towards that GA for Flandre. You're going to have a stopwatch as well coming through for Jiejie with those 2 other items they've completed. Like, these are actually pretty big moments in time for the EDG's top laner. So if you end up in a situation where WE are trying to over-aggress, they get caught out, you can get that answer back coming through from Flandre and Jiejie.
My problem is right now is that for WE, they have so many ways of just keeping everyone away from them while also forcing them out of their base. The Elder Drake will be spawning in a minute 40. 10 seconds after that, you'll get the Baron. So there is big objectives on the board here, and they're just pushing forward without Baron buff because they have too many threats to deal with. They cannot defend this.
Yeah, Flandre off in the side lane. He's not even here as these inhibitors are going down.
Yeah, he was off on the sideline trying to get some kind of pressure in the top lane, but 2 inhibitors will fall. Just over a minute 15 seconds for this Elder Drake to spawn, and WE, they can go back, they can reset Missing, get him back in plenty of times with a plethora of wards as well, and this is looking dire for EDG. They need a miracle.
And it's going to be hard. Breathe, bot side, push in. Rest of WE, shove in mid. Super creeps in those lanes. You have no hope of being able to try and contest this as long as WE keep up the pressure. And you can see there, Shanks, he's taking pop shots at everyone who walks in from 2.5 screens away. Like, he's able to get so far involved in this. And unfortunately now it feels like EDG, their time in this series is closing, but it feels like it could be a new chapter opening for WE.
Wait and see. The book is not finished yet as EDG. They are sneaking themselves around to see if they can get something on this bottom side. And WE don't like the look of that whatsoever. They will eat the Chain of Corruption, won't even use the Ragnarok there from Beishang. So he knows that he doesn't need to get himself the CC immunity. He can keep that for the ensuing team fight. 8 seconds till this Elder Drake spawns. And I will say it will take a little bit of time for WE to kill it off. But do they have anything to go off of here? As you can see, Jiejie needs to be so careful, needs to just get himself out, but Shanks is roaming around. They may just look to try and kill him off. That stops any kind of steal from happening in this fight. They have to commit the Galio ultimate and the stopwatch to keep him alive. The Everfrost does get a nice slow, but Shanks has gone golden. Now we see a fight on the end of this. On the other side, it's going to be the Camille going down to Breed. So now it's the 4v5, but look at these incredibly low health bars. But here come the actual threats, the actual damage. It's going to be Elk and Breed trying to make this one work. The Heartbreaker is not enough to keep you alive, and WE will continue to push forward. They will continue to poke, they will continue to prod, and Elk putting the damage down. It's Shanks on the back end, shanking Viper in the back of the neck, and they're going to be able to get themselves the 2-0 over EDG.
And what a performance from WE, clean from the get-go, taking over these objectives, finding their advantages, and punishing Edward Gaming.
Fantastic win for Team WE, and this puts the entire playoff bracket into chaos. There is no other word for it. This brings EDG back down to 10-3. They are now equal with FBX, who they have still yet to play. It catapults WE up to 8-4. Today had such massive implications on the playoff standings, and we don't even know the final bit of it yet.
And I'm pretty sure, yes, WE have the head-to-head against LNG. So WE, they match LNG 8-4. They're both going to be +6 on games because of the 2-0 here today, which means that because the head-to-head that they have against LNG, WE go up to 4th place. They are going to slowly but surely knock LNG down even further in our standings. And what a way to do it as well, taking down our top team in the LPL right now.
Just such a great way of keeping it all together, and you gotta be pretty damn happy if you're WE, but for EDG, this is troubling. This is not a form you want to be hitting the final 2 weeks with. You only have 3 series left, and then you're into playoffs. If you look at some of the games they have to play left in the series, they've got V5 next week. Okay, pretty much gonna take that one. It's not gonna be a big deal, but then you got LNG and FBX, so big series in the final week, and not really ones you want to be going in with a 2-loss streak with.
Yeah, and I mean, obviously it felt like we kind of got a bit of a mixed bag of EDG today, so we'll have to see what the story is when they do come in towards those games. So I think I mostly want to just focus on like what WE were doing right in this series, because I think there was a couple of like standout performers in this series. I think Shanks had a phenomenal series, especially against Scout. Like usually we get a lot of attention towards Scout in the mid lane, and he looks really good when he's able to get that attention. But you can see here today, Shanks, Silas looked great. You look towards his ability to have impacts on this LeBlanc as well against this Galio. He was a big threat that EDG just couldn't really find ways to deal with. Breathe as well, as per usual, having a phenomenal performance in the top lane. We kind of just come to expect it of the WE top laner at this stage. He's just insane in that top side now that he's actually got a team that can kind of give him that freedom to show what he's capable of.
And it does feel like WE have found their mojo. They have, as Munchables would call it, they have found their winning formula. They have gotten themselves to a point where they are now in the conversation of playoffs. It's like, okay, well, they're taking games off people, they're taking series off of people, and it's just really well played. And I think we got to talk about our MVP, the man of the rift in that game too. It's got to be Elk. He wasn't the start of every fight, but he certainly finished it off.
He was churning out so much damage. Like, it was absolutely insane. Every single time these fights were happening, it was just like, cool, it's Ezreal completely untouched in the backline, firing away every sort of mystic shot in existence, and just managing to pick off members the whole time. You can see there, like, 7-0-6, he was just tearing EDG apart.
For WE, this is just a fantastic win for them and the momentum for them moving on. And we talk about, you know, obviously all of the different matchups they got to come up against. For WE, they've got Rogue Warriors next week. It's always a bit of a question mark. IG, again, another question mark, but they're coming into it in fine form.
Yeah, I mean, phenomenal.